to me like, set the mic. Okay. Diamond, the 33 vertebra, up the spinal curvature to the pineal merkaba that spins in my head and spread off the tongue and rhyme skills onto a vinyl circular. Became instant lords on liquid swords, the Bible determiner, the idol interpreter, the cycle of eartheners. I am Lord your God for worshipers, Merkaba. I ran out of room, I'm leaving the womb. I feel like I'm dying, I'm crying. Am I being pushed to my doom? I'm fading into life, draining from her waters, swimming, naming him Walter. Now I'm bathing in her light. I altered on the altar, the day walker, flaming into the night like fireworks that's vibrating 528 hertz. It's raining, the vibranium is ultra bright. Above my cranium, stars are shooting over. Nibiru exposure, meteor showers, supernovas. The meeting I supposed to write. Walking through the fire that was cold as ice. Poltergeist, took a glimpse into infinity. Saw a blimp that flashed my memories. The airport was empty. A rare quartz Da Vinci. My pen leads symphonies. You'll all perceive eventually. The orchestra of the August love in the orbits as a foreigner from the corners. Now she's in the forest with doves. Near lakeside, the waters with suds. Are you able to withstand quicksand on a remote island in the Bermuda Triangle during Mercury retrograde? But I'm verbally electro waves that echoes for days. Age, 1 foot in the threshold and 1 foot in the grave. Peaceful, I settle over the metal like sage. God switchblade for any witch or devil I made. I carve them up in 7 ways. The carbon dust, fluorescent rays. Placed them in a garden plush after 7 days of parsing.
Blood and flesh is always so expensive, but when you sacrifice the body, you can get this. Consciousness expanse is exponential, while your union is eternal and intensive. Butterfly effect is so connected. You see that I'm a wreck, are you affected? Your energy is here, you're so detected. Your body's gone, it hurts, but I accept it. Bow to all the angels of the sky, and I bow to that one spirit by my side. I bow to the unfathomable Most High. Now if I speak the name, I'd be a lie. Think of all the ones they say moved on. I'd be a fool to think that they are gone. Should be a rule for us to say that they live on. Think it's rude for us to ignore them when they're gone. Thought I saw you in a shadow on the wall. Is that you? I see you standing down the hall. If I could turn back time, I would and make it stall. Help me focus, hold me up, don't let me fall. You are with me. You are with me. Couldn't leave you if I wanted to. Can't you see I wanna stay with you? You are with me. You are with me. Couldn't leave you if I wanted to. Can't you see I wanna stay with you? You are with me. You are with me. Baby, I wanna stay with you. Baby, I wanna stay with you. You are with me. You stay with me. Couldn't leave you if I wanted to. Eternally, I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna stay with you. Stay with you. 'Cause you are with me. You are, you stay with me. The angels in the sky. The angel by my side. You are with me.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Namaste. Jambo. Ashe. Shalom. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds, the light. I am Napashida. Thank you so much for being here. I see Ben Frank. I see It never fails, y'all. This is mad every time. Every time I'll be sitting here writing something, reading something, doing something, never get a phone call right when I hit the live button. But anyway, I see everybody's in here, that some familiar faces, some dark minds. I see Yoda. Always white. Okay. I don't know why that's being asked. Peace to my friend Caleb. I see you, Indigenous Black man. Who else is in here? Let's see. Okay, let's talk today. Chakra King. I forgot to say that. Chakra King was in here first. All right. Peace to everybody. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. All the good stuff. Now, we're going to discuss something that I often discuss. If any of you are familiar with who I am or what I do, some of the stuff that I do is I am a professional transition doula. I'm a life cycle doula. That's what my specific title is. But I'm also a thanatologist. Okay. And all of that pretty much deals with death and grief and the afterlife and all that good stuff. Notice I said good stuff because we've really been programmed, rightly so, to see death as something super negative, something scary, something to fear, something that is so powerful over our lives. There's the paradox, right? Death is so powerful over our lives that, it's just been given so much energy, and we've actually literally fed our conscious energy. Here we go. Put on your seatbelts. Please put your seatbelts on and put your tray tables up, because we're going for a flight into the darkest parts of your mind, because we're looking for the light. So this is going to be one of those streams, and I will be dropping the link. I want you to come in. I'm not going to drop it right now. I'm just going to say a couple things, and then I want people to come in and join if you would like to. So I digress. So death. I'm saying death. I don't typically use that word with people who are in a like a so-called end of life. It's really not an end, though. It's literally a transition. Spoiler alert, there really is no death. There is no end. Shout out to Cyndi Lauper. You know, the song Time, what's it, All Through the Night? She says, until the end, there is no end. There is no end. We're in a cycle. And it's hard to talk about this to people who are rigid and not plastic. Get it? Plastic, we've been programmed to think plastic is rigid. We've been programmed to think plastic is fake. I need plastic people in here today, because plastic just means that you will be able to conform to the idea. You can shake off all the plaque and all of the rigor mortis. You can become pliable in the mind. You can move your mind to a very healthy, viable space where you say, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And thank the stars above, thank the Most High, thank God, thank whatever you say, thank the Most High, thank God that we have a part of conventional science called quantum physics and quantum theory. We have a part that studies the quantum realm. I know scientists don't like, even some scientists don't like that part when you say realm. The quantum realm, we have a conventional part of science that covers what we basically are going to cover. Thankfully, because we can take that stick and beat up the piñatas of the people who call us pseudo and the people who think they're over here killing something. There is nothing to kill. You're strengthening us. Okay, so, back to what I'm saying. We're going to examine consciousness on a level to where we know that we have power. Peace, Ben Frank. We know we have power. Death doesn't have power. Don't all of these religions, all of these spiritualities, new religion that was sparked in the 1800s, and then that sparked the new conscious movement, and all of the ancient religions, to from Abrahamic religions to Buddhism and Kemetic science. Don't all of these religions, all of these spiritualities, don't they say overcoming death, nirvana, heaven, getting death doesn't have a hold of me anymore because I have the blood of Jesus? And everything is about transcending and breaking off the chains of death, what we know that locks us down. At first glance, there's a body, there's material, there's matter, right? And the matter, if you look at a corpse, the matter it's so-called expired at first sight. But when you put on your goggles that see beyond this particular the laws of science, you can say, oh, but I know, even using science, you say, I know that spirit, that being, that organism, let's say a person, I know that person had such such an impact on my life that is eternal. That see, before I even go deep into talking about things scientific, we're going to lay the groundwork of things that you have experienced. You don't have to be in a white lab coat. You don't have to have spent 20 years of your life examining these topics as even a philosopher. You just have to be you. You are surrounded by energies. That's scientific. You're surrounded by energies, and these energies that come from those who you interact with, who impact your lives, those we label it as love, right? Those you love, it doesn't matter if they're sitting right next to you and you can touch them, or if they're away from you. That love is the same. That what that particular, now we're getting into thought, but I still want you to look at that as energy, right? And this can be backed by science. That's easy. But the thought of the person, the way a person has impacted you, affected you in your own self, in your own consciousness, right? Now that's your individual soul. The way a person has affected you, that thought, that impact is now forever imprinted in you. When we talk about trauma, we always say, okay, trauma, of course, we're talking about something negative. We focus on trauma as lasting, and there is science that shows that there's epigenetic encoding in your DNA from trauma, right? That is a spiritual or a consciousness, an impact on consciousness, I should say, that has affected you, right? Trauma, as far as something negative, can also be, you can compare that to love, like and something that positively affects you. It lasts with you forever. So we're laying the groundwork again to talk about consciousness outside of the brain, and to also relate that to what we call is afterlife or life and death, right? So consciousness, you yourself, you your, I'm doing air quotes, feelings. Now those are the thoughts, those are the energies. That's the science part. Now I'm going to stay with me, and I'm going to juggle. Here comes the juggling. The energy, the thought, the consciousness of the thought can be also called soul when we are talking about experiences in this particular realm. So far, are you with me? Let me just put some stuff up. Thank you for that information. Thank you, Caleb, Ben, Frank, everybody. Stay with me, and I just want you, I need you to send right now, even for the few people who are here, we're going to do a type of experiment where you, as you listen to me, consciously put it into the front of your mind. Okay, you're in the front of your mind, right? I want you to work with me and put this collective mind of us together as I speak about this. Okay, I need you, even though I can't hear you, maybe you might not even hit the panel. Whether you agree with me or not, this isn't about a debate. I want you to insert your thought. I want you to use your actual consciousness. Not now, I'm not talking about bias where you're sitting there going, "Oh, I'm going to focus on everything she's saying is wrong," or the bias where you're like, "Oh, I'm going to focus on everything she's saying is right." I don't especially want you to take on like put my thoughts and my words on as a costume. I want you to actually start sewing in to what I'm sewing, what I'm creating. I want you to take your thought and add to this quilt. Now, if you want to add in a patch on the quilt that says, I don't like this color pattern that you're doing on this quilt, so I want to add in my color pattern and my type of fabric into your quilt, meaning you're not being in an echo chamber with me. If you think this is pseudo, I don't want you to go to that rigid mind. I want you to stay plastic and say, no, no, no. I'm not going to say yes or no, because this is a conversation. By the way, this is a conversation that is being had amongst scientists and amongst philosophers and amongst clergymen, and no one has a yes or no definitive answer. So this is for the intelligent mind. This is a conversation. Okay. I have my position that I stand in, and then another person has their position. But I want you to use, when I said an experiment, I really want you to be with me on this as we unravel and as we try to unravel this wonderful web of the mysteries and phenomenon of consciousness. Okay, the phenomenon of consciousness. Because once we start going down the so-called rabbit hole, we see that everything is linked. Like I said, a web. Consciousness is linked to the afterlife. Consciousness is linked to the phenomenon of UFOs and aliens. Consciousness is linked to the phenomenon of God and experiences like of euphoria and ecstasy. All of this is consciousness, right? So I super went off. So let me get back on to what I was saying about the afterlife. So we've given it so much power, death, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear it. Don't say good morning to me. Say grand rising, because, morning means death. Okay, hold on. The beautiful thing about sleeping is it regenerates you. You're sleeping. There is the paradox again. There's the sleep that you are, not moving, but the sleep is the mystery of the sleep is that it actually, in not moving, you're most alive. You're dreaming, your body's rejuvenating. You get it? So that's not so much a mystery. We know this from science, but it's still a paradox. I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything. I appear to be dead, even. That's the same way a body would look. It looks like they're sleeping, but you're actually rejuvenating yourself. Why am I saying this? Because when you look at that, when you look at the scientific, when you look at what you can see, so to speak, like the microcosm, you can say, all right, then in the ultimate part, the death, when a body is still and when a body looks like it's sleeping, there still is, that's the most part of the life. Like that's the ultimate life. You might say, what are you talking about? That's their demise. They went down. They're done. No, that is the actual birth of self. The spirit has transcended what was once locking it in for a moment. The body, that flesh, that energy has left that flesh. Okay, that's a science. And then the philosophical part is the energy can be seen as consciousness. Religions and spiritual customs have said that soul and spirit, your individual imprint onto the universal mind of God, which is like the big spirit, your individual imprint, that actual mark that you make in the world while you're here, that is your soul. Your soul is like your fingerprint. In fact, it's your imprint on this consciousness. That's why no one has the same fingerprint. You can actually look at the palms of your hands and other parts of your anatomy are, I think there's something to do with your iris pattern and things like that, right? So you can look at your hand and your fingerprints and know this is my consciousness. This is my signature consciousness, meaning this is my soul. I'm on a frequency. I'm on a strand. Like imagine a strand or a string on a musical instrument. You're one part of that, pressed down or plucked or strummed. You're one part of that whole string, which is the string is the universal consciousness, aka universal mind of God, aka collective consciousness. So it's still we're still talking about frequency. I mean, we're still talking about science because we can relate that to frequency. We can look at that, we can call that we can call it light. We can say it's a wave, right? We're going into quantum physics. We can say it's a wave and it also a particle. Okay. So we've got photons. That's light, right? Those are light, the most on a quantum level of light, right? So we've got photons that can exist, this is science, as a wave, that long, string, or particles. Look at that as us, right? That's our soul. I'm going back and forth and if just stay with me, but I'm showing you that it can be, you can hypothesize this with science. And we're doing it right now. So the little spots on that strand of the universal mind of God, aka consciousness, aka collective consciousness, you are that one part of that strand when you have been manifested into this particular reality. You are here with me. You are with me, like in the song I said. You are with me, thankfully, in more than just one state. You're with me in a material state. That's one part of your physical self. You're with me in a spiritual state. With our technology, we can actually communicate in a spiritual way. I'm talking to you, excuse me. You're just receiving me through thought and through my voice. You're not sitting with me. Yes, it's coming out of your physical material, I should say your material physical technology, your device, right? But you're really communicating with me on a thought level, which is spirit. So we exist in more than one state. That's science as well. We've got, different states of matter, but I'm talking about in a philosophical way, matter is the state that we're existing in, right? But then spirit is the thought that we exist in, the metaphysical. So there's more than one state. There's no more than one way to define physical. We exist in the material state, and we exist in the spiritual state, which is thought, and that's also can be used in the metaphysical, right? So when you are on that strand, that universal mind of God, the string, you are placed in a specific, you have now manifested in a specific realm. And right now, the realm that we're in is what we're going to talk about. We're going back to the conversation. Well, we're still in the same, I'm still talking about death, but we're going to talk about death on that string, on that frequency as you. So remember, you're not a wave. When the, in the experiment, when you look at the particular wave, it'll become a particle or vice versa. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not really trying to get too much into science, but this can be related to science. So please stay with me. When you were realized in your mother's womb, when your father's, the spermatozoa realized with the ovum that you were realized in the womb, that is when your material flesh became a part of your entire existence. It's like an appendage to, you were, just stay with me. You're in the ether. You're a thought. You were a thought, even though you don't know it. Like your parents didn't say, okay, Ben Frank, I'm going to make you, and we're going to have you, and you're going to be everything you are. You were existing, though, whether it was subconsciously in their minds or not. You were existing, Caleb. You were existing, Ben Frank. You were existing in the consciousness, in what not, that's why I call it the universal mind of God. You were existing in the consciousness, the collective consciousness that's outside of you. That's why consciousness is not only in the brain. You were existing outside of consciousness. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. When the fertilization process took place, then you manifested with flesh. That flesh is only a part of what you actually are in the collective consciousness on the strand. You already are on the strand flowing as a wave. You're on one with the strand. But when I go to make a particular song with the guitar, I have to put pressure on certain parts of the string, right? I have to strum the string. I have to pluck the string a certain way. You, at that moment, were pressed down onto the strand of consciousness, universal consciousness, and you became who you are right now. For that to manifest into our realm where we can actually feel things, we're in a material world. That is where the flesh takes place, and you were formed in the womb. That doesn't mean when that flesh is no longer capable of existing, that doesn't mean that you are dead. There is no death. There is no death at all, meaning you don't end. You, when the flesh can, when that material flesh, which is only just a little pressure on the strand of the universal mind of God, when I press it down, you press it down, by the way, you come down onto that one, whatever part you come down onto, the strand of the wave of the universal mind of God, wherever you manifest, that is who you are. When the flesh that you manifested into so-called dies, you take pressure off of that part of the wave, off that string of the universal mind of God, off that conscious, that general collective consciousness. You lift off of that, and then you start to flow, so to speak, back into the strand of the universal mind of God. You haven't left. You just start to, like when you take pressure off the guitar string, it's just there, but it hasn't gone anywhere. So going beyond the guitar string, let's talk about a river of water. I drop a boulder into the stream. The water moves around it. It seems that the water has the stream has changed, but it hasn't, because when I lift the boulder out of the water, it comes back together, and it's just one. It's not a split stream. It's just one flowing stream. That is what happens with when we're in the universal mind of God. You are still in the current, but you haven't pressed down and manifested into this could be explained in quantum theory and quantum physics. There's a lot of quantum theory that can explain this. We could use Schrodinger's cat. We could use his theory, Schrodinger. We could use, of course, lots of different. I mean, I know my mind's going to start flowing into something else. I want to stay where I'm explaining to you with the yes, I did quote Jeremiah. I want to keep going with what I'm explaining about your existence, because this is about death. We call it the afterlife because you come in, you press down onto that particular part of this universal mind of God, and you come into the consciousness. And the minute you're in the consciousness, this is the beautiful side, when you're really going down the rabbit hole. Once you press into the spot that you want to exist in the consciousness, you're already in the stream. But once you like tap in, you come into your existence, you're manifested in the flesh. Once you manifest in the flesh, now that brain that formed in you, and that heart, and that gut, actually everything down the middle, everything from the crown of your head to your your crotch, everything from the crown of your head to your perineum, you understand, like underneath your undercarriage, everything there is your how do you say, it's like your receiver, it's a conduit, it's a receiver for all that is surrounding you in the realm that you manifested in. Please listen to me. You're in a material realm, right? That's why your consciousness can be sensed from your brain all the way down to your sacral region, which also people say, as I said, sacral, basically down to where the sacrum of your whole, from the crown of your head to your crotch. That whole region down the center, especially, not perfectly specific in the center, but you get it from, if you touch the crown of your head and you go directly down your forehead. That's why we do, if you're spiritual and you know about tapping into your pineal gland or that region, you might draw a symbol on your forehead. People put symbols on their forehead, but you come down from the forehead, right? And then there you are with those two eyes. You don't have just one eye, it opens up so you can have even more reception of your surroundings. That is a part of your consciousness in the material realm. So what am I saying? You went from the before you were material, because we're talking about death, right? You were existing as energy in the universal mind of God. I'm putting everything together, like science and the philosophical, scientific and the philosophical. So you manifested from your spiritual self. You were existing in the flow and the strand of the universal mind of God, aka the collective consciousness. You tapped in and you touched a particular part of the strand, or the string, whatever you want to say. You manifested as in the material realm. Now you're in the material realm because you have flesh. Your biology. You're biological, right? Everything about you can be seen in a material way. So now it's not that the consciousness is existing from, because it doesn't originate in your brain. Your brain, so your head, your throat, your chest, with your heart, your bowels, your genitals, all of that, all of those are sensors, and all of those are processing centers for the consciousness that you came from. Hallelujah. Isn't that beautiful? All of those are sensors, brain, which is, everything, like your six senses. I say six because, yes, I'm talking about the ether. I'm talking about the main one where you sense the spiritual. There's so many people who aren't dark minds. They don't get it. They want to stay, oh, that's pseudo. You've gone blind, my friend. You actually don't see the ether. I'm sad for you. You're a handicap. And we don't discriminate, but we realize you can always see the most handicapped person is the one who tries to come in with fear and laugh and say, oh, you're pseudo. They're afraid. They're afraid because they're blind to the ether. They're deaf to the ether, to what is ethereal. They are so afraid. They're grappling in darkness, not the darkness that not the darkness where we are going deep like now. They're in the Helen Keller, I'm panicking, I can't get my bearings darkness. We're going into the darkness for navigation. We're ready. We're miners. Like we're in the mines. We're going deep into the earth. We are scuba divers. We're going deep to the deepest depths of the water. They don't know how to do that because they don't have that sixth sense. So I digress. So when you've manifested into this material realm, your body is now experiencing this realm for a reason. It's experiencing the material realm for for a reason. You have to figure out and optimize your material self. You have to. I have to. We all do. And when we are lost from this realm, as far as our material bodies, we go back to the universal mind of God. We go back to the stream, and we find another boulder to drop into it, which is us. And guess what? Shout out to one of the most world-renowned astrophysicists and quantum theorists, Michio Kaku. There are many strings. There are many, many, many streams, but he says string theory. There's many different lines of of this particular thought. Like if you could wrap your mind around it, there's many lines. He says string theory. There's many strings on this instrument, which are the whole instrument is the universal mind of God. But you can drop down into this realm again. Okay. Peace to you, Ben Frank. Yes, I know. I know you know. I know you know, and I know a lot of people. I see Caleb. A lot of you know this. So while I'm talking, you're talking, but I can't hear you. Even if you don't comment, you're in your universe. You're in your universal mind of God. You manifest it into your material self, but the universal mind of God is what you're talking to me. We're all together. We're working together. That is consciousness. Consciousness is not just manifesting from our brains, from the flesh. That's ridiculous because there's energy outside of flesh, and that energy can translate into something you could say spirit, right? So when that body dies, when it expires, it starts to decompose. It goes back to remember I said you can look at the microcosm to see the macrocosm. Just the macrocosm can be, we can translate that into things we cannot definitively prove right now beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? So we can't prove what's going on in the afterlife. We can't prove that consciousness. We can't prove we can prove it to ourselves, but I'm saying for the whole world, people who are saying, I need to see science, I'm an atheist. So I digress. You can look at the microcosm to see the macrocosm. Now, if the macrocosm is what I can't completely prove right now, that's a macrocosm, the phenomenal, then the microcosm is what I can actually prove. I can actually prove that when a body dies, when something dies, like an animal, I can prove that it decomposes and goes back into the earth. Stay with me. If I can prove that it goes back into the earth, has it disappeared? No. It's just turned into something else. Get it? It's turned into something else, but it never leaves the earth. It's still a part of the earth. So it has not gone forever. It's still exactly in the earth. That's the material realm. Let's go to that's a microcosm, right? Let's go to the macrocosm. If I know for a fact, according to the laws of thermodynamics, if I know for a fact that energy doesn't die, I'm doing air quotes, it doesn't just get destroyed and it's gone forever. It just turns into some other form of energy. It goes into another form of energy. It's exactly like what I saw with the flesh. That's science. So I just used looking at the microcosm, knowing that I can look at, and even I get it. People are like, well, energy can be proven. I'm helping you look at it in a philosophical, metaphysical way, and you say, okay, that makes sense. That when the energy, aka soul, aka spirit, leaves the body, it obviously isn't gone forever. It just is in a different form. What I tell some of my clients, most of them, the ones when I'm dealing with the transition part of it, when you lose a loved one, you don't lose a loved one. You just, the relationship changes. This is important that you know this. When someone that you love dies, I'm using that word for, just to be clear. When someone you love dies, as we call it, so-called dies, that just means, oh, I'm going to have a different relationship with this person now. And there's so many people that might think that they're not blessed, that we give pity to them. Like if we have people that their family members have been suffered traumatic brain injuries, and they go into like a permanent vegetative state. People, they'll be in comas for some time. We say, oh, I feel so bad. Of course you do. You feel pain for a person who's been traumatized by something like that happening to a loved one. However, they are actually being eased into the just blunt cutting off of death. Like, I saw the person today, boom, and now they're gone. When you see people who are in who are transitioning slowly, it doesn't even have to be an injury, who are suffering some type of disease or incurable disease, and they are having a, you know, they're about to transition, they're about to die. The family is being eased into a new relationship. That's why aging, when people they say they age gracefully and then they die, aging is like you're easing into a that new relationship. And isn't it interesting that you've heard people compare the elderly to infants? Well, that's very helpful in dealing with grief and when dealing with transitioning, dealing with death, because when a baby's in the womb, you can't literally before the woman's in her second to third trimester, when the baby's in the womb, a woman's pregnant, you can't see the baby, but the baby's there. That's just fact in our material world with our science. Well, in a transitioning, when when the baby comes out, you have to carry the baby can't walk, you have to change the baby's diaper, you have to feed the baby. Well, in the cycle with the elderly becomes more feeble. They need more help moving around. They need you to clean them. They need you to feed them. Look at that. Life is already there showing you the truth. And then as they start to they go completely they die, so to speak. It's back like when the baby's in the womb. The baby's not gone. The baby's there. When they transition out of the flesh, that doesn't mean they're gone. They're still there. You just cannot see them. So you have a different relationship with them. You can't go to the movies with them. You can't hold their hand. You can't watch them to have a conversation. And you can have a conversation that with you speaking, and there's no vocal cords from that person talking back. But you can't sit and have the type of conversation that you've had with that person in the material realm, back and forth. Get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that they're dead, because they're not dead as far as what we've been trained to see what death is. They actually you have a new relationship. It's really hard to, oh, okay. All right. I see you, Maharika. All right. So it's really hard to really wrap your mind around it, because it hurts. That's why in my song I said, your body's gone. It hurts, but I accept it. You get it? It's like your body's gone. That hurts. That hurts. But it's supposed to hurt. But the hurt isn't supposed to destroy you. The hurt is supposed to make you sit back and say, I got to figure out why, if this person is dead, then why do I still feel this? If the person is gone, why am I still feeling the same way? The love is I'm getting emotional just saying it. I'm feeling like, the choked up. If the person is dead, why are you having so much pain and angst and grief when the person in your mind, we've been taught, oh, they're gone forever? We have to reprogram ourselves, please. Let's not go to the part of grief that is destructive to our own selves. Because first of all, the person's right there, meaning that person is still there. Oh, that's another part of it. So let's get back to what I was saying about you existing in the universal mind of God, meaning, you want to call it the Most High, Allah. You're in the universal mind of God, right? Before you touch down and manifest into this realm. When you're doing that, Before you do, I mean, when you go back, like say you transition, you die, your spirit returns to the flow of the universal mind of God. You're back in the spirit. They say spirit realm, but you're back into that flowing stream. You lift the boulder out, that is you. You're not pressed down on a specific part of the string on the instrument. You're back in the flow. You still have it's such a beautiful thing. You still are flowing in your ultimate self now. Not still, take the word still. You're back flowing in your ultimate power. You're meaning it's not a selfish you, though. Oh my gosh, this is going to be tough for a lot. I don't want to lose you. You're not you, but you are you. There's the paradox. There's the pun that makes it true. You're not you anymore when you return back to the universal mind of God, back to the collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it, back to the Most High, back to Allah, back to Nirvana. You're back in the flow. You're pure again, but you're not you anymore. You're not you, but you are you. That'll drive you crazy, right? It's like a dog chasing its tail. You're not you because you're now back into the universal mind of God, which is only the universal. There's only one mind of God in each string of the instrument, in every single hydrogen molecule in the water of that of that H2O, every single molecule of that water in that stream is still the stream itself, but we are the little parts of it. So when you get to the wave and the particle in quantum theory, in the wave we are the particles. When we are conscious, then we manifest into the consciousness. I know that sounds, see how you can say stuff like that and go, damn, that makes sense. But it's like a pun. It's like dual. It's got like these aspects of like it's like paradoxical, or it's like a pun. It's like a double entendre. That's how you know it's real. So when you are back into the universal mind of God, when you die and your energy goes back, you have the ability to manifest again into this realm or any other realm. And that's a different conversation. I'm talking about death here. When you manifest back, this gets in there. Now this is intricate detail. When you manifest back, please hear me. I know this is going to sound crazy. When you reincarnate, you might have been at one time a Chinese fisherman in the 1900s, and then you manifest back as a Mexican. No, I'm not going to say Mexican. A Russian doll maker in 2001. When you have done that, you have to understand that you are still the same person with that universal mind, that spirit, whatever you want to call it, that stream flowing. It's like threading through. It threads through the Chinese fishermen in the 1900s. It goes and it threads through that Russian doll maker in the year 2000. And then whatever you were back in the 1700s, you were a slave that was kidnapped from Africa and brought to the Americas. And then you thread through that. And then I go down here, you're a little tap dancing, I don't know, Caucasian kid in the you know what I'm saying? You just keep threading. You're a musician in Harlem during the the Renaissance 1920s. Now you're threading through all those different lifetimes. You're threading through, and you're still on that mind of God. That's why you say the Most High, you say God is everywhere, God is everything, God transcends every different time. You're moving through everything. We're all one. Now you might say, how can I be more than one person? Because you're not you. It's the universal mind of God. God is God, or the consciousness, if you want to say. If you have a problem with being church hurt over the word God, leave it alone. You are that one. You are that one consciousness that is everywhere at all times, because there's only one time anyway. There's no past and future. We're all existing in one time, and that's becoming fact also. Get the book, go research Julian Barber, look at some of his work. Okay, so I digress. So you get it? You're threading through. So what does that mean? So that means, let me use somebody. Nature has no color. Yes. So let me use you again. I'm using you, Ben Frank, because I see Caleb. And okay, so Ben Frank. So Ben Frank had a friend, and the friend got very old. It was an older friend and lived to 100 and transitioned, passed away, right? So Ben Frank's friend has not left Ben Frank while Ben Frank is still existing. All praises, thankfully, still existing in our material realm. Ben Frank is here with us, and that's one thing that he has obviously in common with us, that he exists in the material flesh, and his friend is no longer existing in the material flesh. His friend has moved back to that string, that on that instrument, that universal mind of God. Now, we've never left the universal mind of God as we touch down into this material realm, but I'm saying Ben Frank's friend has left the material body, gone back to the flow of the stream in the universal mind of God. Does that mean that now that person's gone? No, because remember that person, that Frank's friend is really the universal mind of God. It's not just that friend. That friend's energy still exists with Ben Frank. So imagine if you've got that, I'm going to use the water again. You've got a tube, like a hose. Now I'm using a hose. And the hose is over our heads. And Ben Frank takes a sharp object, and he reaches up and he pokes a hole in that hose. Now, remember, he's also flowing down from a part that's poked in the hose, but just stay with me. He's a part that drips down from a hole that's poked in the hose. He's there. He turns into whatever this being that can actually use a sharp object to poke a hole in the hose. His friend comes down. His friend is there next to him. When his friend goes back up into the hose, the flow of the water, Ben Frank still has that dripping part of his friend coming out of the hose. Does that make sense? I mean, it's kind of hard for me to describe it without drawing the picture. Like when you see people do, like they'll draw out like genealogy, and they'll do like draw out family trees, and you see like, okay, here's the dad, and then coming down from there. That's how you can look at the consciousness as well. I'm talking about the person's existence. So the person, when I say they go back into the universal mind of God, they never leave you, but they still go back into the universal mind of God. Because remember, their existence here isn't just flesh. When they touch down, or when they manifest into this realm, they're not just a bag of bones and skin and tissue. They're existing inside of that tissue as spirit, aka consciousness, universal mind of God. They're picking up the consciousness. I hope you are understanding what I'm saying, and whatever way you have to understand it, if you want to do that. But when the person goes back into the flow of God, the mind of God, the energy, when the energy changes, I'm going to get back to science because I feel like I'm maybe like going too far off. When energy leaves that particular material biology, that biological matter, when the energy leaves, it doesn't forever, it's not forever gone, right? We know this. that energy doesn't just have to be all the energies only in one space. It could be a lot. It's that now we're talking about entropy. It can be chaotic, so to speak, not chaotic in a negative way. It can continue to spread out. That's what happens when we talk about the Big Bang Theory. We started out like as this compact, low entropy existence, and then boom, everything flew everywhere. That's high entropy. Consciousness can be looked at as in that way. Your energy, you as an individual, when you leave that flesh, you are high entropy. Your energy goes back into the universal mind of God, which I know I'm giving you a visual of it being a flowing stream, but go beyond that. It's just like take it into like an infinite galaxy, or just a universal space that just there's all these planets and stars everywhere. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's still there, but it gets harnessed by the material flesh in this realm. When the body dies, boom, that energy explodes out, right? And that energy can be it will, it's not gonna, can be, it stays with us, but it also goes everywhere. It goes back into the universal mind of God, and it's now little bits everywhere. That's why we never know when we say, well, we're all connected. It's true. You don't know who you were unless you do some regression therapy and you look at a past life, and people call that evil, whatever, or you're just imagining. But I digress. Let me see here. Peace orgasm. Let me see what he says. Caleb says, the flowing stream visual you are giving actually helps me understand this a lot more. Thank you. I'm glad. All right. And let's see here. This makes complete sense, Queen. I do think a visual of this would enhance the understanding even more. Yeah, I know. I probably need to do that. All right. Okay. So yes, universal code. Yes. Bloodlines. Yes. That's when we get down to like, that's easy to understand. That's stuff that we can prove. And we're more than trying to prove this. I just am giving it to you so it'll help you. It'll help you in dealing with the death. Because death isn't, it's small. It's you that aren't all these spiritualities, aren't all these religions telling you, and you will conquer death. One day death will be, we're in a dynamic consciousness. We are in a dynamic consciousness. We are changing. Boom, boom. I understand it. Oh, it's exponential growth. That's what I say in my song. Consciousness expanse is exponential. And that song came to me like a download. I just was writing it. I listened to the original song that you heard with Killer Priest, and then I was like, okay, this is what I'm downloading. I just sat down and started writing it. I was like, blood and flesh is always so expensive, because also I do use the expensive tissue hypothesis often in a lot of my conversations. That's science. Scientists put together about our evolution. Our last common ancestor. We talk about the evolution of our consciousness, and the theory that was a play on words. When I said blood and flesh is always so expensive, I was using the expensive tissue hypothesis about the growth and the growth of our intelligence from what we actually put in our physical biological bodies, like what we eat. Remember I said from the crown of your head to your crotch, your sacral region, is where our consciousness is, where we receive our consciousness and we cultivate it as well. I forgot to say that part. So not only is it like an antenna or like a conduit, a sieve, something we process outside consciousness, outside the universal, everything outside of us, basically. Not only do we do that, I forgot, I just had a weird thought. Not only do we use that for receiving we cultivate new consciousness. You're saying, wait a minute, then atheists are right. We do create God in this realm. Remember, stick with the Bible. Since people that are out there believe in the Bible, you can stick with the Bible and this will still work. And you can stick with science and this still works, believe it or not. And you can stick with all the ancient writings. You are God in this realm. So you can do whatever God does. Remember that stream, all those strings on the instrument you came from? You get to do that in this realm. So you get to create consciousness in this realm. You get to think. You get to have intelligence. We created AI. We created something. We said, look, God, I'm doing what you did. Like, how kids like, look, mommy, I'm also doing what you did. Look, daddy, I also do what you do. When they see their children, they do like, good job. We're telling the universal mind of God, oh, we're God's too. So as I use the universal mind of God, that's why you can never say, but I'm the equal. No, you're not equal. You are a part of the universal mind of God. You are the universal mind of God, but you are not, you're a part of the universal mind of God, but you are not the river. You're just a part of the river. You're a part of the stream. You're a part of the current. You're a drop in the ocean. That doesn't mean you're insignificant. See, we've always thought, oh, a drop isn't anything. No, a drop is a part of the ocean. It is the water. You are the ocean. When I take a cup of water out of the ocean and I hold it, it's not, oh, this isn't the ocean anymore. Yes, it is. But it is now a cup of water and it's not the ocean. See, it's a cup of water from the ocean. So it's always going to be the ocean. But now it's a cup of water and it's not the ocean. It's a cup of water. How dare you tell me this little tiny cup is the ocean? Have you gone mad? But guess what? If I pour it back into the ocean, it was always it's the ocean, just like it never left. So you are creating consciousness in your material self in this realm. While you receive consciousness, you process it. That is the beautiful thing of the mind of God. Oh, I love it. Hallelujah. Praise the almighty, unfathomable God, which is the stream, that we can create our own consciousness. We can create it. And it's not just like, okay, you created that consciousness. Good job, but it's not worth anything. No, it's forever going to exist as consciousness in the universal mind of God, as if it were just the universal mind of God itself. That cup of water that you took out of that bucket of water that you took out of the ocean, it's just a bucket of water, but it's still the ocean. When you pour it back in, you realize, oh my gosh, this is powerful. When you took the bucket out, you did something with it, right? Now we're getting into our material selves and we're talking about what is our purpose here. We come in, okay, great. We got it. Death isn't final. We are the masters over death. We are eternal, right? But we have to be able to master these concepts that we are not eternal if we just see ourselves as individual from the mind of God and individual from each other. We're not going to make it. We've wasted an entire existence. We've ignored the crown of the head is, remember, right? The brain all the way down to your crotch, your sacral region. You're supposed to be maximizing, optimizing everything you can while you create new consciousness. Stay with me. You're creating new consciousness. You might say, well, it doesn't matter. It's just going to go back to the ocean. It's going to go back to the universal mind of God. Guess what? No. Everything is already connected to the universal mind of God. It's going to stay in this realm. And it's going to keep on becoming like the power, so to speak, the energy, the look at all the killing. Oh, nobody cares. Well, that's because this is what we're creating in our God self, in our material flesh, as gods, as creator gods. We are manifesting the consciousness from the universal mind of God in this realm. We're manifesting the consciousness that we're creating. We receive consciousness and we process it through our own material selves, through our soul, your signature self. Remember I said the fingerprint, and then you send that consciousness back out. And now you're a conductor of consciousness. And that is what's going on with us as a whole. Now we go back to collective consciousness affecting us all, general, like one hive mind. And then we go back to where I say on my channel, reality is simulated existence. We are simulating this particular existence, and we have a responsibility. Remember I said, why are we here? You say, well, why are we here? We're coming here because we're supposed to be making this particular realm a God, like the best ever. I was going to say God, because I don't want to keep saying God. I'm saying for us, when you read all these other, it's not just the Abrahamic faith, all spirituality. It talks about nirvana. What's the one the field when you cross in the afterlife, you go past Osiris, and then there's this beautiful, the field of reeds or something like that. All of that is talking about the highest ultimate existence, Garden of Eden, beauty, lush green, no death. But death it's not an issue anymore. We figured it out. We are on a journey. We are actually here it is. Look at the microcosm, right? What can I prove? We have a bunch of people that are going down exploring the ocean. We have people that are going out into explore outer space. Well, in the universal mind of God, we come and we have a mission here. We have a mission here in this realm. You understand? To put it in simpler terms that you've heard in like Abrahamic faith, God sends us here for a mission. We're here. Jesus came to do something. Jesus said what I'm saying. He said, I and the Father are one. And then people say, see, Jesus is God. No, Jesus is that bucket of water. And he's a special bucket of water in my idea, but you don't have, if you're not Christian, that's okay. But Jesus is a bucket of water. And he's like, I am God, but I'm not God. And he said, you are sons and daughters of the Most High. You are gods too. I'm coming here to show you that you can do this, but you're not God. And the ones who are simple-minded, those ones who are calling Jesus pseudo, they said, blasphemer, you just said you're God. You don't get it. We're all from the universal mind. We're all one from the stream, dropping boulders in different parts of it so we can exist for whatever reason. And now maybe it may, like beavers building a dam, I don't know, like would they need to have the flow of water go a certain way, and they need to have their way this way. Throw that out there. I'm just using an analogy so you can wrap your mind around it. Let's see here. Caleb says, John 17, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. Thank you. Isn't that beautiful? It's the same thing. What I'm talking about. Jesus quoted Psalms 82:6. Yes, when he said, ye are gods, quoting the law, which was back in Exodus 22:28. All right, thank you for that information, Caleb. So back to now we know We know that death isn't final. Remember, we're creator gods now, right? We create consciousness. So now we understand. We already know this though, but some people's consciousness is affected in negative ways, meaning the way they receive their consciousness. Okay, here we go. A brain injury. They can't receive their consciousness like they're supposed to, meaning from the universal consciousness. I call it the universal mind of God, but I'll say the universal consciousness, the collective consciousness, right? Or some people might be doing drugs, messing with that part of the mind and the body. I mean, and the heart and the belly. You notice what you notice everything that I'm saying is right in that center where you can that's a part of your body when you're doing anybody that goes in you to the gun range and you do the sights, like those, the sights are those papers that you got the like the head and it's like a shape of a person, but there's no arms, there's no appendages, there's no legs. It's the head. Oh, wow. Let me pull that up because that's a good point. Good job. I'm talking to myself. Pat myself on the back. Good job, Napa. Thank you. All right, let me show you sites. Okay. Okay. So, I don't know what you guys call them, but hold on. What in the world? Hold on, guys. Please hit the like button. Okay. What the heck? It's a Target, but I don't know why they're not calling it. Maybe I just call it. Maybe the people I'm around, we call them sites, but I'm Googling it. Okay, Target. Fine, whatever. Okay, I want to show you this. Okay, look at this. See how you can find spiritual things and like deep when your consciousness is when you go deeper and deeper into the dark, your eyes open more. You see how even this is spiritual? Who would have thought going to the gun range and you're looking at this and you're shooting at this target and you say, wow, that's actually spiritual. There you have a picture of a like what you would say a person, right? Thank you. There's the head. And then right there, we've got the chest. Then we get lower, there's the belly. And then we go to the very bottom. That would be where the sacral region or the groin or the genital area. So all of this is where this is very spiritual. It's tied. And if you look at any spiritual writing, including the Bible, I guarantee, I'll bet money if you want, that I can prove to anyone that all of this part of the body is what is related. All of these this area of the body, this region of the body is related to something that connects with God or something that connects with sin, the transgression of what God wants. What am I talking about? So it can be your holiest, most divine, sacred self. This region is related to, or your lowest basis self. Let's start at the bottom, of course. This is an easy one. In this region, when you're talking about the crotch or the sacral region, the genital area, that can be misused to destroy your body, right? If you're led by that region, that lower vibrational, they call it region, that's your sacral region. And it's also seen in different conversations as not pure, but it can be pure. But, some people say it leads you to sin. It's a part of you that is your basis material self. Your basis, the most basis part of you before you evolved in your consciousness, before you became intelligent, this is the part, these feelings from here, if you don't control that with your higher intelligent self, you can be destroyed by it. And of course, in purity, if you control it, you bring forth life, and you're healthy. And I don't just mean physical babies. I mean, I'm not going to get too much in. I'm going to move. So you get what I'm saying. So we're going to move up from there into the belly, the stomach. We all know this part of the belly, you know, is where this is digestive system, right? Food, gluttony. That's the part that can destroy you. Or you can learn, you can be in your consciousness, be in tune with your body, and you can listen to that part of, that's a brain. I call these all brains, but I'm not talking about the actual gray matter. This part of your body is receiving it's like the antenna for your divine risen self. All this whole from the crotch up to the crown of the head. Then we go to the heart. Of course, you get it. Like there's ire. You can get very angry. There's anger. There's passion. There's everything. There's creativity. All of it is from the crown of the head to the crotch is creativity, by the way. And that's what I meant to say too. Like your artistic self is from the crown of your head to your down to your crotch, and then you start to use your appendages, like your hands, to make it like actual, to create it and form it, even to fine tune it. So y'all are like, what? I'm just showing you this because this part of the body is the crucial part that receives your consciousness, and it's the part that creates the consciousness in this realm. You receive consciousness from the outside of your material self. So you receive from the universal mind of God, and you're tethered to the universal mind of God in that way. And you also in this region start creating from your core self, from the crown of your head to your crotch, or vice versa, from your crotch up to the crown of your head. You start creating consciousness. You are actually creating consciousness. So it's both ways. Now, imagine that you're corrupted in the mind, and you're closed off to your sixth sense. When you're closed off to your sixth sense, it's weak. Your transmission from the universal mind of God is weak, right? So this is scripture, Caleb, if you want to do this for me, where it says the head is sick, so the whole body is sick. You get it? The head is where you're supposed to first and foremost receive. That's why we're always going like from the top and we pull down. So when we do a gesture like, oh, it's above, as above, so below. So your head is supposed to be completely open as far as being in, you're supposed to get a clear connection to the universal mind of God, where you came from, right? And then it's supposed to flow down into the body all the way down to the soles of your feet. And that would come from the crown of the head down to the sacral region, to the crotch. Okay. Now, when you do that, if you don't have that connection, if you're not clearly receiving that signal, then you're not going to be able to, then your body's not going to be optimal. You're not going to get the optimal spiritual connection. You're not going to be conscious. You're not going to get your ultimate consciousness. You're not going to be the God that you're supposed to be in this realm. How can you create consciousness that is good? Meaning, when I say good, benevolent, that is life, that helps us thrive, if you cannot receive the signal from the universal mind of God correctly. So now you're closed off in the head, and the whole body's sick, right? So you just pretty much, what do you start doing? Come on, remember your material, right? Your flesh. What's easy to tune into? Anybody? Oh, I'll just go from the base region. I can feel this though. I know I got this down here. Oh yeah, I can feel that. Because that's your most base. That's if you're talking about what's flesh, your body, you reproduce from there. You also, there's excrement coming out of there. Everything is base and what we would say not divine. It's, I don't want to make it like it's evil, but it's a base level. Get what I'm saying? You're not in your purest self when you start, oh, I'm not connected. I'm not getting that universal consciousness or whatever reason, maybe child abuse, maybe some type of trauma, maybe brain injury. We don't know. But so then you go, I know I can feel, I'll feel from the bottom. I'll work from the sacral region up. Oh, I can feel this. I can feel the sex. Oh, I can taste that. That tastes good. Give me more. My stomach. This is yummy. Everything from that lower region, right? And does it trigger when you're getting, don't get me wrong, the lower region isn't disconnected from the crown of the head, but you're working off of that lower region. You're supposed to work off of the higher region. You're supposed to work off the crown of the head to write about the pectoral. That's where you're supposed to be working from. But because you're not getting, you've closed off. Remember I said it's a flowing stream, and I talked about the water analogy. Well, yours is something, there's a kink in yours, y'all. I thought of my dad, like there's a kink in the hose. A kink in the hose. You're not getting your full flow from the universal mind of the universal stream of God. So you from the top, you're not getting the free flow. So you're going to go down to the bottom in this material realm. I got the consciousness here though. Because remember, there's consciousness being created from you. But even when your father's seed fertilized your mother's seed, y'all don't like that. I know you, when the spermatozoa fertilized the ovum, you boom, became into your material consciousness. You already were you think you just started creating consciousness when you came out of the womb. Once you became that particular fertilized egg and you were a zygote and then you became a fetus, you were creating consciousness. I don't want to get too deep into that, but so, right? So that's your basal. Remember, I don't know if y'all know this, if anybody is familiar with the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is coming from that region, right? Now we're back to where I said, look at the macrocosm and then you see the microcosm. The baby's connected to mama. Mama can represent like, oh, I get it. There's that universal mind of God that we're connected to. That umbilical cord is, we are connected to the free flowing consciousness mind, the universal mind of God. We're to the universal consciousness. We're in the stream of consciousness, the God stream, the mind, whatever you want to call it, right? Our umbilical cords are what I said, how there's a hose and the drip come down. So I digress, but so you've already been creating, your God consciousness has been working from the moment you're in the womb. And that's your base area, your umbilical cord, your genital area, your sacral region, your belly, the belly of the beast. So what's going on with us today? Oh, I'll look at your question in a second. I'm going to look in a second. Caleb, much love to you, Caleb. I appreciate you and your wife. And upright. I'm going to summer jam some of these. I just want to get this out real quickly. So remember I said we're talking about so we already figured out what's going on with death, right? Now we're going to figure out what's wrong with our world. Stay with me, my friends. This is my darkest minds of the light. I absolutely love you. You're going to get it. Now we are the superheroes. We're the gods. We're figuring out what's wrong with us. We manifested in the material, right? We were given this opportunity to manifest in the material. We are creating consciousness. We're receiving consciousness from the spirit, aka the universal mind of God, aka the Most High, Allah, Buddha, whatever I don't know what you could call it, Nirvana, different realms, different things, right? Well, okay, well, it's just one thing. We're receiving. That's why I like to call it the universal mind of God, the collective consciousness. We came down, boom, I'm a particle. I'm no longer a wave. Now I'm here. I manifest in the flesh. I am Caleb. I am Ben Frank. Okay. I am Napasha Dasa. We see ourselves as individuals because we are, but remember, we're just buckets of water from the ocean, but we're still the ocean. So here we are now. Now in the material flesh, what is our job? We're supposed to create our own heaven. We're supposed to create this realm to be the best. There's issues, obviously. We have people who prey upon other people because it starts in the mind. That's why we have so many intelligent scientists saying, well, consciousness is just from the brain, because that's easy to see, but it's not just from the brain. It's through the whole body. But if we're going to pinpoint the regions, it's from the crown of the head to the crotch, to the undercarriage. I'm talking about down below. That's where we receive consciousness, and that's where we send out our creative consciousness once we process it. We process the consciousness we receive. So guess what? Here, I'm adding on to more complete. This is making it more complex. I'm going to look at your question. So when we're in this realm, not only do we receive the consciousness that's the universal mind out, like I don't know if you're envisioning this, but it's something outside of us because I set the hose. But no, it's also the consciousness that's surrounding us in this realm that has been created by material gods. We are receiving that consciousness that has already been manufactured, simulated, synthesized. So I'm receiving the consciousness that Caleb is synthesizing by going in here, and I'm looking for Caleb's question. I think this is your question. I don't know where it is. You said question. And so this is just sees my question because she just made a fantastic point about when life starts. Okay, let me go up here and see if this is a question, or did you just say something? Okay, let's see. So this is an example of what I was just saying. Now I'm a creator God in consciousness, and I'm creating consciousness by talking about this concept. Caleb is now, it already has been a creator God, and Caleb is creating consciousness with this question. So everything we do, especially, come on, when it comes from the higher region, like when we talk from the throat region, from the mind, when we have thought, when we, even when we, what else is when we show compassion, when we show empathy, those are parts of our higher regions in our reception and we're a conduit and we're a conductor. So those regions, when we create from there, they're the most impactful. They can be the most damaging or the most nurturing, but they are the most impactful. Just stick with me on this, all right? I don't want to go too far off where people say, well, what do you mean? Because when somebody gets raped, that's the most impactful. No, because guess what? The act of sex is the same with consent or grape. It's the thought that is the consent that changes the damage of something that happens in the lower region. It's the consciousness that's fed into the action that makes it most damaging or most nurturing. I went off for a minute, but let me read this. Queen, the middle region of a person is said to be where the spirit dwells in Proverbs 20:27, which states, the spirit of the man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly. Wow, that is awesome. I didn't recall that being, that's perfect. Yes, I didn't recall that scripture being saying inward parts of the belly. That's amazing. Yeah, and you can see this in every spiritual writing. Most of us are familiar with the Bible. Peace to you, Naphtali. Peace to you. Let's see. Okay, so basically, you see how the brother grabbed the scripture, and you can see it in the scripture. Oh, here's a question. Here's a question. This was the question. So you're feeding you get what I'm saying? Like Caleb's consciousness. Let me recap. There's the universal mind of God. There's God, right? We could call it the spirit. You can call it the stream. You can call it collective consciousness. It's existing. We are a portion of that taken out of it. Remember, I used the analogy of the bucket out of the ocean, or just you're not a part of the wave anymore. If you're talking about quantum theory, or you're now a particle, not a wave. What else? On a chord of a guitar string, when you strike a chord, I should say, on a guitar string, it's a specific chord, and then it sounds a specific way. So we're a portion of that, right? But in the portion of it, we manifest into this particular realm where we are flesh and blood, right? In this realm, we have from our head to, I talked about that region, down through the heart, belly, and crotch, the reproductive organs. We're receiving the universal mind of God first. Before we get into all the complexity of being damaged and traumatized or experiencing, we are connected. That's why they say babies, when it's from birth to age 5, they're the most in tune spiritually. They can see, it's known for those who know, they can see spirits. They can remember their past lives, things like that, right? So you're most in tune with where you came from when you first, that's just facts. You're most in tune with where you just came from when you first are born. Once you start, so once you're receiving that, right? You're receiving from the crown of the head down to the belly into the sacral region. But once you receive it in this realm, this is where I'm getting at, then you start feeding it back out. The stimuli is, even in science, conscious, when they say you're conscious, it's because you know your surroundings, and then you react, you respond to stimuli. Nothing can be called conscious in science, in like mainstream conventional science. Nothing can be called conscious if it doesn't have a response to stimuli. So now you are feeding out of your self, right? You're feeding consciousness out. And that's where it starts to get where you're saying, okay, are you feeding good out? Are you feeding out malevolent? Are you feeding out benevolent? That's why I said, when anything we do, when he makes this statement or this question, he's feeding out from his consciousness. His spirit, or you want to say soul, his soul is feeding out into where we all exist together. So if he was saying something mean to me, I'm going to get to something to simplify it. He's feeding out hatred. And whether we like it or not, we say, well, I don't care. It doesn't affect. Of course it affects me. I'm done with all that. We can train ourselves to ignore it, because it could kill you if you're not. Believe me, I'm living proof. It will, not just me, anybody. Stress kills. And if someone continues to, that's what I think happened to Kevin Samuels. If you continue to get beat down and people, you keep on noticing that it will, if you're not strong enough in your consciousness, if you're not connected enough to where your source, hello, hallelujah. If you're not connected to your source, the universal mind of God, if you've let all these things cloud or start to cinch off that flow at the crown of your head, then you're basically working on the lower parts, and pretty soon you're going to succumb to your element, that outside consciousness that could be malevolent, that is killing, all the bad stuff. So we are creating, we're gods. We create what's going on in this realm, but we also receive what's going on in this realm, and everything is connected to the universal mind of God. Now, let me read this. This was the question, Queen. Sorry. Since consciousness starts, like you said, prior to even being born, in the universal mind of God, should individuals have their zodiac based off of when they are first formed in the womb? That's what it is. It is supposed. That's how it actually works. Let me see what Lumpthali said. She says, I heard what took Kemet down was drinking Red Bulls. Oh, yes, yes, sister. Yes, Naphtali. That is technically, they said it was a stress of the heart. But think about that. Let me use this idea. I know somebody who drinks Red Bulls all the time. Perfectly fine, right? The people that smoke all their lives and they say nothing happened to me. I ate bacon all my life, and that's because stress is the number one thing that will kill you if you're eating or drinking things that are toxic. If you're drinking them, I heard that too. I mean, I saw Kevin drinking Red Bulls on the internet, Naphtali. I don't know. I wasn't with that man all his life. He might have cracked open a Red Bull just when he went live. How can we know? But what I do know is I know he passed away from heart failure, and that is a big deal amongst our people. And it's not just about our diet. The first thing people say, well, maybe it's because Black people, they eat all that. No, it's still being researched of, I know why we have a higher risk of hypertension and a higher risk of heart disease and a higher risk of stroke. It's because we have been genetically continually passing down that trauma from slavery ever since the moment centuries ago, millennia ago, right? When we were kidnapped, that encoded into our actual flesh. Oh, wow. That's what we were just talking about, right? Weren't we just talking about, or I was saying to everybody, our flesh is not just a conduit of the consciousness. It also it's not just a conductor, it's a conduit, and vice versa. So we were fed the trauma and it stayed with us. It continues to stay in our flesh. It literally stays in our DNA. That's our consciousness. But it's not just our consciousness. When Ben Frank said bloodlines, it's being passed down to us. That's another string, okay? Remember I talked about microcosms? Microcosms don't just have to be seen as tiny things. I'm talking about something we can see and prove. DNA is passed down. That's another string, the strand of DNA. It's passed down. Look at this, family. Remember I talked about the universal mind of God as a strand and many strings? And I said, we become creator gods, God, the most high or universal mind of God or consciousness, whatever you want to say. We are given granted the ability and the power to create and be creator gods. Now we've got our own strand that we create on, and that is our DNA. And we encode in our DNA. See how science will prove God or the existence of a spirit realm if you look at it that way. And if you look closely. So anyway, yeah, I think that, I don't think, I'm sure something contributed, like Red Bull, maybe Red Bull and red meat. But I'm just speculating, but I know stress is the number one killer. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, much respect back to you, Ben Frank. Let's see. Caleb said, oh, I got to look back and see what he asked, Orgasm. Oh, did I even answer your question? Oh, dang. Oh, I think I did. I think I did. Oh, about the zodiac. Yeah. The zodiac is real. I mean, people that are part of the Abrahamic faith, they've been programmed to say, "Oh, that's evil." No, however the universe and in the celestial, the galaxies, however the stars are aligned, right? When you received the universal mind of God into the flesh, whenever you manifest it, makes a difference in how your consciousness is. It makes a difference. It depends on that as well. So if you're created at a specific moment when the planets are aligned a certain way and the stars are doing whatever they're doing, that energy or that spirit that enters that flesh at that moment is your zodiac. That's, you're going to be able to read charts and see that's your zodiac. So yeah, Queen, oh, let me see what the brother says. Queen Naphtali and Queen Apa in doing a lesson together would be amazing. Y'all are both heavyweights in the academic sense, of course. All right, thank you. I'm sure she appreciates that as well. She said, "Most High bless." Yes, my sister has a little bit of a different teaching style, but definitely, I like sitting down with Naphtali for the most part, even when when it's really a heated discussion and we're on both different sides. There's been some crazy stuff that's gone on, but for the most part, it's a great build when I work with her and sit with her, because I respect Naphtali for what she's doing. I mean, it's good to see what she does. Even if she doesn't agree, her teachings don't always agree. I think we do align in a lot. Like, I would be hard pressed to say that Naphtali is against what I'm teaching. She would teach it in a different way. She can always elaborate on that. But I know that, and you can correct me, Naphtali. I know that Naphtali believes in one power, one God. Whatever she says, Yahweh, or the Almighty, the Most High. I know that. I know that she follows the Bible, so I know that about her. And I'm teaching this is a universal mind of God. I think the language is always really hard for, I'm not saying Naphtali, but for people that are following, like especially Christians, they would be like, "What are you doing over there?" But I wouldn't say that about Naphtali. She's a pretty, I would say Naphtali is one of the darkest minds of the light. I'm gonna go out there and say that. Don't make me look like I'm contradicting myself if I ever sit down with her and I don't agree with some things. But let me see. You're making good points. Oh, okay. See, I figured. Yeah, I know. Naphtali is when she goes into her Canaanite bag. That's her niche, and that's where I would be like, okay, but I don't get that. But those things right there, even though she's adding to the consciousness, right? Remember I said that? Even if I don't agree with it, the way she's teaching it, okay, the way I like to use, I'm glad I'm using her as an example. So let me do this. Thank you. Indulge me, please, Naphtali. So Naphtali teaches about her Canaanites, right? And she teaches about how the Canaanites are not how we've been taught throughout the Bible and throughout society. I don't agree with that, but her teachings have been cultivated to be benevolent more than malevolent. Are there aspects of it that I see that are linked to things that have happened negatively, like racism. Yeah, of course, but the same thing happens with a lot of stuff that I teach. Are there elements of it? Yes, but that's not something that she's intentionally doing. She's actually coming from, this is sounding not, I hope this isn't offending her. Even though I'm saying, wow, teaching this could be linked to something destructive, I'm not standing in a soapbox saying that I haven't done that before, so y'all don't start coming for me. Even though I might say that for me, in her consciousness, she's genuinely coming from a loving, nurturing, benevolent space in her consciousness. Did I get that out right? I think I did. So yeah, no, I don't believe that what One West teaches. Okay. The Nigerians are not the Canaanites. Okay, I think somebody asked you that question. So let me get back to, I want to use this example. Again, I want to put her, okay, so with Naphtali, perfect, because actually I've been, this is great, because this is going to help me with what I'm talking about. I emphatically do not subscribe. I do not subscribe to, and I would stand on the opposite side of the notion that only Black people are Israelites. Okay, now I've gone through a long journey in my spirituality and in my material self as a creator God. Naphtali's a creator God. Everybody here is a creator God, right? So as a creator God, I received from the consciousness, I received teachings, and the teachings that I received, I've come to the conclusion that no, Black people are not the only people who are chosen by God. Now, when certain people teach that, it doesn't mean that they're coming from a destructive, evil place. Can that be just used as destructive? Yes. My point that I'm making, do you get what I'm saying? It comes from a place in you. If it comes from you working in a destructive way, it will be destructive. If it comes from you working in a benevolent way, it doesn't have to be perfectly correct in my eyes. I'm coming to that conclusion. It is, who is the God creating it? Who is the God that's creating? What's the source? I'm talking about in the material realm. I'm not talking about the stream outside. I'm not talking about the universal mind of God so much, even though I said that always is, the base. I'm talking about just us as creator gods. In her consciousness, which she's really, really seriously invested in this. I've seen her doing this for years. In her learning, she's amassing all of this information, researching, bringing it into her consciousness, right? Into her higher consciousness, because it's going into her mind, and then it's going into her mind and her heart. I'm talking about the upper region. So she's amassing it, but she's already in a space where she's a creator God in a benevolent space. She's not feeding it into, I haven't known her all her life, but I've seen her. No matter how much I don't like certain things she might say sometimes, I know she's a benevolent force. She is AKA good person. That's why Jesus is like, nobody's good besides, it's only this universal mind of God. But she's working from a benevolent space. Now, let me look at some of these comments. She said, no, I do not believe what One West teaches Nigerians. And then she said, no offense taken. Okay. Then Caleb said, she has the Canaanite lessons and videos. Look, Caleb, did I tell you to drop her information? No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. See, that was a joke, but I was going to shout her out anyway at her channel. Yes, this is her channel. Go look at it and you can see all her teachings. I wouldn't have summer jammed it, but that's okay. So with Naphtali, we have a very interesting history, but I absolutely want people to listen to Naphtali. I have made, you know, not in this kind of conversation, but like when I'm doing the debating stuff, you know, the debate talking, toughest environment. Oh yeah, I'm gonna bust her pinata. Oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. That all aside, the seriously and the sincere part of me is yes, you should listen to her teachings. Should you listen to her teachings if you're not ready to if you're not informed? No, you should get informed, listen to her teachings, and do your own research. That's what I'm trying to say. Listen to and that's same for me. For me too. Don't listen to anybody and not be informed, because you have to be a creator God as well. So I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so she and I are, I don't, but to be honest, I'm starting to hear you teach now, Naphtali, and some of the stuff I'm like, okay, she's saying what I was saying, but I'm saying what she's saying, but she's saying in a different way. The only thing that I can't get over is we are only black people are Israelites. Like that's the only thing that's a different conversation though. But despite that, let me get back to her because she said the One West, right? So with her, she's teaching this because this is what she's amassing on her own. Now she has broken away from being information being funneled into her, and she's using her own God consciousness. Now, when I say God consciousness, I'm not talking about the universal mind of God. I'm talking about her creator God, her. So she goes and she gets the information and now she's a creator God. She brings in the consciousness and then she creates from bringing it in. That's the intelligence, right? She processes it and sends it out again. And that is now she's creating information and teachings. That's being a God. And where, again, about her, she's not coming from a space where, for the most part, from what I see, again, I can just make my own assessment. She's not coming from a space of, I want to destroy. And she could answer that. She can answer that. Naphtali, do you want to destroy people who are not the same as you? You don't teach that. See, because the One West teaching is that everyone who is not your Israelite people will be destroyed and pretty much destroyed. And then God will just save the ones who are, I don't know. I have to talk to her. I haven't really, let me see what she says. One day I'm looking forward to coming on the show to have a dialogue. Let me know when you're ready. Yeah, we could definitely do that because I hate, especially for Naphtali, because she's very clear in what she said. I don't want to talk for you, but yes, we should do that. I'm going to have to, I was actually thinking of you doing something in person. I had mentioned that to Sonetter recently, not too long ago, because we're going to be doing a show. I know we've been saying that, but we're actually working on it now. I told him I want to bring Naphtali on. So, but even before that, I definitely will. I want to get together with you and talk. And we don't always have to just talk. I definitely want you to talk about what I'm talking about here, about I want you to talk about, you know what I'm saying, like God, like I heard you say you would like to move on from your Canaanites teaching and start talking more about other things. I'd like to hear your position on, where's the Most High, or where does God come from? You can use scripture like I do sometimes, but I would like to hear your authentic mindset on life, death, afterlife, that would be good, because I haven't heard that from you. I mean, I'm sure you've said it, but I heard more from you about, like the archaeology and the historical stuff. I'd like to hear some more metaphysical stuff from you, so we could sit down and do that. I'm sure you'd be interested, and we can talk about the UFOs. I talk about the Watchers. I know you talk about a lot about the Anunnaki. I think you've talked about giants and things like that. So 100%. And like the brother said, go check her channel out, Naphtali's New School of Thought. I got to get in touch with you. Yes. Thanks for being here. Okay. So I used her as an example because number one, she's always researching, bringing, remember I said we're a conduit. Let me get you the definition of conduit so as we've manifested into this realm, right? And it's like, what do you want to do with your life? Okay. What's your full potential? You are manifest into this realm materially, your flesh and blood person. You're supposed, so you're in, you receive the consciousness, you're receiving stimuli. Okay, that the stimuli would be the consciousness, and then you respond and you send out your response, and your response is actually going to be stimuli for other people. Get it? So conduit, what's the definition here? I'm going to show you the definition. Okay. That acts as a channel. Yes. So let me get that for you, darling. So teachers are definitely, we're all creator gods, but you know, the scripture says, but you will die as men. I don't want to get into that right now because I'm going to lose my train of thought. Hold on. You're all creator gods. Conduit. Okay. Have you ever heard channeling? Like, oh, she was channeling this, or I want to channel that. Like, you want to bring it in, right? So conduit, if you can see the definition. So a conduit is a channel for conveying water or other fluid. Wasn't that interesting how I used the analogy of the stream and the hose? A person or organization that acts as a channel for the transmission of something. 2, a tube or trough for protecting electrical wiring. Interesting, right? Because that's what we were talking about. And in the origin of it, in Middle English from Old French, the medieval Latin conductus, from Latin conducere, bring together. So you're a conduit. You bring together information from the universal mind of God and from the consciousness that's been made by other material beings, creator gods, right? And you're a conduit, but you're also, so you're bringing it in, right? So me, Naphtali, Caleb, anyone who's interacted today, we also are. Now you saw the definition included water, right? I want to show you something that's and I want, come on, get this out. I want to show you something interesting. Water, right? It also was talking about electricity with as far as something that covers, like as a hose or a device that encases electricity and water. Conduit, a channel, right? Look at this. You're a conduit, you receive the consciousness, and you're a conductor. Look at that. Look at this. You're a conduit and you're a conductor. Let's look at the definition of conductor. A conductor is a person who directs the performance of an orchestra or a choir. Remember I was talking about the universal mind of God can also be, you can talk about like a musical instrument with strings. You are a conductor in this realm. I'm touching my arms and my hands when I say this. In your physical body, when Naphtali gets up in this realm, in her life, in her material self as Naphtali, she's a conductor. She teaches. Her teachings, the more she teaches, the more she becomes a material god I said material, right? But check this out. When she receives as a conduit from the universal mind of God, the more she opens her mind up to get the free flow as a conduit, the more she becomes a God in the spiritual consciousness side. So when you are a conductor, you're a material God in this realm. You're teaching. You could be, because don't get me wrong, Yahweh ben Yahweh. I mean, not don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. Yahweh ben Yahweh was a huge God in this realm. Hitler was a huge God in this realm. A lot of people, David Koresh, Polite, all of these people who became very powerful gods in this realm were pushing out as conductors. Okay. I'm a conductor. Everyone is conducting. But what are you pushing out? Are you a benevolent God? Or are you a malevolent God? Are you destructive? That would make you malevolent. So you're destroying things that shouldn't be destroyed when you're a malevolent God. Because destruction also doesn't always mean evil. Because I would destroy malevolent gods. Get it? Naphtali is destroying malevolent gods. But first and foremost, when you're a conduit and you're open to the universal mind of God, when you're open clearly, you're open and there's nothing, no kinks in the hose, no obstructions. You become a spiritual God in this realm. Uh-oh. I might have lost some of y'all. Because some might say, well, like the Pharisees, you're teaching you're a spiritual God. Only God is a spiritual God. Hold on. Jesus, Yeshua, was a man in the flesh, but he was a spiritual, or is, I should say, a spiritual God. And Jesus, Yeshua said, you can be just like me. Okay? You can do it. Because I'm going to show you. This is how you do it. I don't want to die, but I know I'm not going to really die anyway. But I don't want to have this pain. You know, that was his material self saying, take this cup away. But the spiritual God, remember, he's the conduit. He's receiving from the universal mind of God. He's receiving, saying, you got this. He's like, yeah, of course I'm going to do this. I'm doing it. I'm going to be the sacrifice. That made him a spiritual God in this realm. So amongst man, we had the living God. But the beautiful thing is the living God that comes amongst man says, you also are the living God. We're all the ocean. We're buckets from the ocean. Jesus never said, I'm the only bucket out of this ocean. That's what people don't get. Jesus didn't say, you guys aren't any, but you didn't come from the ocean, only I did. So when we receive clearly what we're supposed to receive, when we're conduits and we're clear, open channels to the universal mind of God, we are the powerful spiritual gods in this realm. Stay with me on this. Now that I've received clearly, I can be I'm going to be the conductor, and that's my material God. And I'm going to be a great, like powerful material God. And when I'm a powerful material God that is a powerful spiritual God in this realm, now I've achieved what Jesus, the likeness of the Messiah. And if you don't want to just say Jesus, like Buddha, and other people who said you've received the highest form of self. Now you're a good teacher. You're a good teacher now. And when you're a good teacher is a conduit from the universal mind of God, and that good teacher makes sure that they conduct, as conductors, they conduct information, or they create consciousness that is benevolent. The only consciousness that we should be sending out, let me rephrase that. The consciousness that we should send out to people should be consciousness that is benevolent, meaning it promotes life. I'm gonna say that 3 times. We should be sending out consciousness that promotes life. The consciousness that we send out should promote life. The consciousness that we send out should be merciful to life, not merciful to evil. And I say evil meaning vindictive, destructive energy that destroys in things that are not, things that are innocuous. So if there's an energy out there, and I'll use the internet, if there's a channel that likes to just attack people and talk about them all day, that is consciousness that must be destroyed by benevolent gods. The universal mind of God, the ocean, isn't like, that's your job. That's why you think you're here. I'm not going to go to the universal mind of God, the ocean, and say, why don't you come drown them? That's your job. Take the bucket of water, do what you will with it, throw it on there, put the fire out. I don't know. Add something in there to get rid of them. That's what you're for. Or better yet, how about you do this? Take all your buckets, all of you benevolent gods in the material realm, all you teachers, all you conductors, put your buckets together, and then you can go drown out the evil gods yourselves. So as a conductor, as a material god, the first thing you should do is promote life, protect life, and in that protection, there's mercy for those who are not malevolent. Okay, you're not going to just be like, oh, I got this perfect. You're going to be able to have mercy. That's a part of the protection, meaning spare, like spare it. And you're going in your, as a conductor god, you're going to be intelligent enough to be able to promote life and protect life. So you have to promote life as a conductor god, you have to protect life, and you have to have the intelligence to do both in this realm. That's what makes you a benevolent god in the material self. But see how that translates, this goes back in this full circle into, but how can you do that? You can only do that if you're connected, fully open to the universal mind of God. I'm going on and on and on. Whew, okay, so John 1, and the word was made flesh and dwelt amongst us. Jesus told his disciples, I tell you truth, anyone who believes in me will do the same work as I've done, and even greater works, because I am going to be with the Father. Thank you. Promote life, protect life, use your intelligence to get rid of destructive elements. Thank you. Oh, wow. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you for doing that, Caleb. I really appreciate that. So a conductor, the first definition is a person who directs the performance of an orchestra or choir. British English says a person in charge of a train, streetcar, or other public conveyance who collect fares and sell tickets. In physics, a conductor is a material or device that conducts or transmits heat, electricity, or sound, especially when regarded in terms of the capacity to do this. Do you see that? talked about electricity and energy. The other definition for conduit talked about water, and water is also related to, as far as a channel, and then that relates also to energy. It's like a full circle because electricity is created out of water. Check that out. When I say it's created out of water, I mean the movement. Before somebody comes for me, oh Lord. Whew, I gotta be careful with what I say sometimes. Mediums, thank you. There you go. That's another, thank you, FS Righteous. That's another great mediums channel, don't they? Don't they, FS Righteous? Mediums channel. And when you look at medium, that's like your passive. So we are mediums, but we are more than just mediums. We're channels. We are channels, but we're more than just channels, right? But yes, all of those are great synonyms. Conduits, mediums, channels. What were you guys saying? It's a trick there. Let me see who's calling me. Oh wow. Okay. It's 1:22. Okay. Streams are good too. Streams is good. I can't do this right now. Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna wrap this up. But so the beautiful thing is, and I appreciate Naftali being here. That was great. I appreciate, of course, Caleb, Ben Frank, everyone else who listened. The beautiful thing about it all, just to recap it, the afterlife is now, by the way. I didn't go so much into that because I was going to talk about time. I did say briefly that there is no past, there is no end, there's no future. It's all one. I call it a time stack, but you don't have to. I call it time stacking. Time is not linear. It's all in one spiraling moment from the bottom to the top, or actually circular moment. But mostly I wanted to just give the consolation and the this information that death is not something that is scary and they kill it. It's painful because remember, we're in this realm for a reason. This realm isn't something that's just passive. This is pretty cool. SHIT. We're here. This is awesome. Why do you think we keep coming back? I don't know. That's just I'm biased though, because I'm in this world. I'm in the material world. But this is a pretty awesome place to be. This is a pretty awesome place to be, and when we say we have to destroy the negative, the malevolent, that's not even something that's like we find pleasure in it. It is something that is supposed to be that when I say destroy, I mean alleviate it. I've destroyed so many bad things about what I was vibrating as a conductor. I at one time was teaching. I'm laughing because there's some things I have to work out on this, but how do I say this? There was a time that I received from this realm. So there were creator gods. I'm going to talk about the One West. And when I say One West, no, let me say that. I'm going to say GMS. They taught as conductor gods. They were teaching and IUIC. I was in those two different, I was following those two different groups. I was in IUIC and I followed GMS when I was doing the Hebrew Israelite radical funnel crap into my brain, and I'll just repeat it stuff, So there was a time when I was conducting as a conductor god, as a god. I was teaching, repeating the teachings that they taught, that that there was no life in the egg, in the ovum, and I knew that was even in my mind. I was like, this don't sound right because the egg is viable, so that's. But I still was like, the seed is the only thing that holds life. So I was teaching. I wasn't protecting life. I wasn't teaching life. I was teaching. Why wasn't I teaching life? Because I was teaching that the ovum, the egg of a woman in her womb, didn't have any life. I was lying, number one, without knowing I was lying. I was repeating lies, I should say. And I was degrading the woman, the mother. That's how I know I wasn't being a benevolent God. But does that mean that I was me as a God, that I'm not benevolent? See, remember I was saying that about Naphtali. Now I'm not saying her teaching, but I said I know she's coming from a benevolent place. And stay with me. How do I know she's coming from a benevolent place? Because remember I said material God and spiritual God. She's a spiritual God. She's very spiritual. I don't mean spiritual like, yes, girl, go in there and read those scriptures. I'm talking about her connection to the Most High. She's open. It's very open. And I can see that, ironically, I see that from her, not because of what she's teaching or on the internet. It's from just the handful of interactions I've had with her as a person. I feel a great sense of love for her. I have been so angry with that woman in my life before. Angry over things that I shouldn't have, that don't matter at the end of the day. I mean, they matter, but it wasn't enough for me to have that much anger and vitriol, and vice versa with her as well. I mean, I think we both can say we both were doing that, but I always knew something at the core that she's a good person. She's loving. She's connected. If she never picked up the Bible or never taught any of this, she's still got a great connection with the universal mind of God. I can say that. Will I bang on her information that she's teaching? Maybe, of course. I'm saying that in a loving way, in the context of what I'm saying. But my point that I'm making is, just because I'm going back to me, I was teaching something that I knew was not, no, I didn't know it was malevolent. I thought it was benevolent. That's the point. I was teaching something that was benevolent as a material God. I was repeating hatred toward women. I was repeating misogyny. I didn't know that. I thought I was repeating things that were spiritual. I thought that I was coming from my conduit mind, but I was coming as a material God, conducting things that were hateful. So I was repeating hatred as a conductor God, as a teacher, from a powerful, 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 powerful God that is in this GMS and this hatred, woman hatred. And I love you, brothers. A lot of you are coming from a spiritual place of benevolence, but you're teaching hatred. And so what am I trying to say? If you're teaching hatred, just like I was, and you don't know it, you better figure it out quickly. Because if you keep on repeating death and hatred, you're going to be merged in and be that one hive mind of the malevolent God. And now you're a little God. You're a little tiny material God, like Yahweh ben Yahweh, like polite, like Hitler. You're just a little, you're destructive, and you're not a part of us. You have to be cut out, meaning you're not a part of the material realm, that you're a part of us, but you're a cancer. You're toxic. So you don't want to, meaning me, I was being consumed into this. I was enveloped in this, into a grand teaching of hatred, saying, "Oh, there's the woman is evil. She's the horrible downfall." That is not. That's how we test to see what kind of creator gods are we are in the material realm. Remember, it's first you promote life. I'm not promoting life if I say there's no life in the egg. Then you promote the protection of life. And the third is you have to be intelligent enough to be able to do both. That's what you're doing as a material god. Let me read this. Caleb said, there's a reason people say the woman is always right. She is our first teacher. And then Ben Frank said first, and then he said first doctor, yes, first guide. So see how you just said that those things, and that so that let's examine that. Let's not go into like, oh, you're giving these women power. Let's just examine those that one statement. As a conductor god, was Caleb doing? Is he material god that is benevolent or malevolent? There is a reason people say the woman is always right. She's the first teacher. So basically you say this woman is the first teacher. So you conducting that, let's see, does that promote life? Sure it does. Did it tear down men? Nope. Sure didn't. It's talking about your mother, where you came. It's literally talking about the wombs we come from. Then it's talking about the breast that we feed from. Then it's talking about the arms that hold us and kiss us and keep us securely attached. We're talking about the mind again. We're talking actually about the scaffolding of the mind. We're talking about neurology. We're talking about the healing of the mind. Am I saying fathers can't do that? No, of course fathers can. But fathers were once babies. Mothers were babies too, but mothers didn't come out of a womb. Take that back. Fathers don't have a womb. And am I saying that discounts the father? No. So I don't want to take away from the brother's statement. My point is, when we examine this, is there any hatred in here? No, there's no hatred. Now, if he would have said, she is your first teacher and the father is nothing, then we would know that he's not coming from a benevolent space. He's not the material God that is benevolent. He's a Yahweh ben Yahweh, if he would say, and the dad is nothing. So I actually, in the teachings that I was teaching for as a parrot, it wasn't my, okay, I'm throwing some more grease into the pan. We're still cooking. That didn't come from I wasn't a conduit. That didn't come from my mind. That didn't come from my mind. I didn't connect to the universal mind of God and get that and form that in me. That was fed to me from a conductor material God, from GMS. I just grabbed it. I didn't even stay with me. I did not take it through my I didn't take it through my conduit. I didn't run it through. Let me test this out into the universal. Wait, I'm connected to the universal mind of God. Let me think. I just repeated it. Oh, got it. Because I took it from the pause. But I'm saying I take it from the lower regions, pause, from the gut. I'm taking from this makes they're telling me this makes me feel good inside. It's gonna get me, it's gonna make me feel like I'm a powerful Israelite. I'm talking like that because that's how I felt like that's how I was. I was just ignorant. I never let it come into my mind, really into my mind. Oh, by the way, let me say this. When I repeat something just like a parrot, parrots aren't repeating that out of intelligence. So, well, they're intelligent, but they're not repeating it from intelligence, meaning they don't understand fully. They're just repeating it, period. It's coming from my belly. Like, say it with how they say it with your chest, but really you're in your diaphragm. Say it with your diaphragm, which is the right beneath the lungs, around the belly region. You get where I'm coming from, right? You're going in a lower place when you're just repeating something without really thinking about it, without going into your darkest mind to become enlightened. So I was being a material conductor God and putting out things that did not promote life, did not protect life. And I wasn't intelligent at all because I was just repeating it. And we do that a lot. We do that a lot with songs we do. Like when we hear a song, we don't even know what we're singing sometimes, you know? Welcome to the Hotel California. You're like, wait a minute, what the heck is this about? Stab them with the steely knives and you just can't kill the bee. Wait, hold on now. No, now just hold on now. It's like you got to figure out where you're coming from. So with that said, let me see what he says. Positive touch is important to sanity and mental health. It is not just important, it's paramount. Paramount. You cannot have sanity without being securely attached. There's even factual information showing beyond secure attachment, as from age 0 to 5 in those developmental stages. When you look at people who've been placed in solitary confinement for long periods of time, it literally destroys the neurology of the person's makeup, their brain, their thought. It destroys the mind. We are in a type of disconnection that I wouldn't say destroy, but it's definitely impairing our intelligence and our thought and our sanity, which is social media. I don't want to get into that too much because it's too much, but I absolutely love all of you. I really do. Ben Frank, thank you for being here. Caleb, always awesome how you. Let's see what Caleb said. I think, unfortunately, Queen of Pod, that many men, specifically misogynists, think that praising women or uplifting them in their minds degrades men, which is extremely stupid. Exactly. When I praise men, I uplift women because men and women, believe it or not, I know y'all, I know maybe you haven't heard me teach this. Men and women must come together. It's a pack. It's like you only have one shoe, but you have 2 feet. Men and women are together. There's the duality. That's another thing about this manifesting in this realm. We come into this amazing duality of gender, sex. Okay, I don't want to get too much into that because it's a longer. I got to get off here, but yes, that's a good statement. I don't want to do too much. I'm reading something and I'm talking to. Okay, Ben Frank, Caleb says, I can't tell you how many men have called me a simp for uplifting and praising my wife. It's pathetic. Yeah, well, that simp thing is a powerful God in this realm, isn't it? The teachers that teach that, it's not weak, unfortunately. It should be. It should be weak. The idea that if you uplift women, you are not a man. Or that you're a weaker man. I'm going to let y'all go because I'm trying to read while you talk. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Peace to the wonderful darkest minds of the light. This was really great. Thank you, Naphtali, for coming through. Please go subscribe to her channel. I'm scrolling up to see if I can find it again. Yeah, I don't see it. Hold on. Wait. What am I trying to say? Well, Caleb, drop the link and just show it again. And then, but basically, go subscribe to Naphtali's channel. She teaches about the Canaanites, but I know she wants to teach other things. Well, because I heard her say that. She wants to also teach more things. Ooh, Napa. Sometimes I'm thinking too fast, and my mouth isn't. My words aren't aligning with what I'm trying to say, and that gets me in trouble a lot. I'll go back and listen to stuff, and I was like, oh God, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say this. Yada says, peace, Yada. Yonapa, in the Bible, what was the beef between Paul and John? Yada, please. I can't do that right now. Chakra King, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, everybody. And yeah, that's about it. Peace of the darkest night of light. And I would love to talk more. Thank you for being here, Caleb. You're so helpful. Here's Naphtali's channel. Go subscribe. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And please don't forget to share this video. Yeah, this was fun, though. But remember, death is not something that controls you. I want to get the scripture on that. Let me see if you can get the scripture. I bet you can get it quicker than me. Now, this isn't just in Abrahamic teachings. This is in everything. But, of course, the resurrection of Jesus that I'm trying to find. Oh, well, there's a lot of scriptures, I'm sure. But this one is, here it is. I found it. I wasn't sure, but it's Revelation. Get it, Revelation. It's not just in Revelation, but I think it's a Revelation. Dang, I can't remember, y'all. Is it Revelation 21? I think it's Revelation 21. Let me see. 21 and I'm not sure. Let's see. Am I still screen sharing? I thought you guys could see that. Okay. I'm a little tired. Revelation 21. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so death, yes, there's grieving. Yes, the body changes. Yes, indeed. But thank you. That is, for you to say that, Nell 215, I absolutely appreciate you. And I humbly thank you. Bowing. And I appreciate that. And guess what? Your comment, you're conducting out of your material self. You're conducting and you are affecting. It's like, we're talking about reciprocity. You affected me. You said you learned something from me, but you giving me the feedback. This is all. Now this is mainstream science and conventional science. They say consciousness. You are conscious of what I said. You received the stimuli, and then you respond to the stimuli by saying that, and I receive it back to my consciousness. And you know what we just did? All of us, not just you, but all of us, especially you, I'm focusing on your comment. That is a vibration. That's a frequency. That's a literal vibe. That is a, if you want to say sound, or we made a sound. We made a sound. Get it? That's something we sent out into the consciousness of this material realm. I'm going to say that again. I said what I needed to say, and I was saying some things to help people, or teaching, and then the comment from Nell 215 was sent back to me. So my stimuli was received by his consciousness, and then his consciousness responded to my stimuli and sent out, in his response, I received his consciousness. So it's like a how do you say, a tennis match, but not a tennis match, but it's called reciprocity. But not just him. Everyone here, all the comments When I said something, Ben Frank said something, Caleb said something, Chakra King, Naphtali. We're vibrating, we're resonating in our consciousness. We're gods. That's why I say we're two or more are gathered. There I am. Oh my goodness, I just got goosebumps. Remember, we're all coming from that ocean, which is the universal mind of God. Let me not use the ocean. We're all coming from those instruments on the instrument of God, all those strings. There was a strumming, and we were the sound that came from it, and we come together as a symphony. Or you can use quantum physics, the wave of God. When you realize the wave, we become particles. We're no longer waves, but we're all together. We work together. So we're all feeding in it's reciprocal. There's reciprocity. I say something, you respond. You say something, I respond. You say, it keeps going. That's consciousness. That's the actual scientific definition of consciousness. Responding to your surroundings, being aware of your surroundings, and then responding to the stimuli. That's the actual basic scientific conventional way to describe it. But in the metaphysical, in the philosophical way, I am saying this. You are receiving it as conduits, and you're receiving it as the darkest mind's the light. Don't play with us over here, right? You're receiving it. You're opened wide in a vast opening. You're open to everything that comes in from the universal mind of God, because you're a part of it anyway. And when you bring it in, from what I say, you process it inside of yourself. Remember, from the crown of your head all the way down to the center of yourself, to your belly, down. You process it, and then you send it back out. We're creator gods. And this right here is healing, because it promotes life. I'm not here bashing. I'm not saying we can do this, all of this, but only us, y'all, because everyone else needs to go. I'm making fun of myself, because I used to say stuff like that. Or I'm not saying, and those other people that are not teaching this, they are going to be dead. No. I'm still creating. I'm a creator God, but I'm creating destruction of things. I'm malevolent. I don't want to keep saying destruction. I'm being malevolent. Instead, we're here resonating in promotion of life, protection of life, and the intelligence to do both. You are not done when your material flesh decides to transform and decompose into something else in the earth. You're not done. That universal mind of God that came down and manifested itself into your material self, and to be that material God. What kind of material God are you? Are you a little tiny material God that can be crushed? Or are you a big material God? That doesn't mean you're good, though. Remember, we talked about that. You could be a polite. You could be a Hitler. You could be a Yahweh ben Yahweh. By the way, there are no tiny material gods who are spiritual gods in this realm. You're not going to be a tiny God. If you're a benevolent material God, that's because you were first and foremost a spiritual God in this realm. Like, I'm going to use Jesus again. Jesus in this realm was first a spiritual God, meaning Jesus never was, he wasn't teaching hatred. Jesus wasn't teaching, we got to take everybody and chain them up and kill them. Jesus was in this realm teaching preserve life, protect life, and have the intelligence to do so. Remember, Jesus said, I'm here for the sick. Jesus didn't say, oh, those whores over there and those publicans, go kill them. Jesus, let's stone this woman. Hold on now. Which one of you is well enough with no sin to stone her? I'm ready. If not, put the stones down. So Jesus was teaching preserve life, have mercy, and protect life, and have the intelligence, those with eyes that can see the darkest minds of the light, to do so. So when I said tiny God, if you're a tiny God, that's because you just sat back and said, I don't care. I just want to watch some corn and play some Assassin's Creed and, eat some delicious ramen. I don't care about all that stuff. That's okay. But you're going to get crushed and just going to have to come back and I don't mean physically crushed. And when I say I'm not saying that their bodies are going to be harmed necessarily, but when you're foolish, parkour, when you're a small God, parkour, I'm using parkour. You have so much power and you just decided you just want to risk your life all day, jumping from building to building with what? Why? All the things you could be doing. You could go save people from fires and do things, climb, and you're fearless. You can do things to be a good creator God. But you want to just jump from rooftop to rooftop for video, for likes and views. Well, you're a little God. You're going to have to just come back and think about it again. Because first you got to go with your spiritual self. When I say spiritual, like I said, if you're doing parkour for likes and views on video on your social media, then you're not a benevolent God or a malevolent God. What does the scripture say? You're neither hot or cold. I want to spit you out. You're little. So first start with the mind. Tune into your consciousness from the crown of your head to your sacral region. But you want to stay up in the region right around the shoulders and up. Heart, throat, and head. You want to keep that connected and clean and open and healthy to be able to receive the most that you can receive from the universal collective consciousness, the universal mind of God. And then, come on, bring it all down and start creating. Okay, I'm done with this for real now. I love you guys. Napa's love is all encompassing and she is all about protect humanity. Thank you for that. I really appreciate your love and I send it back. I love all the creation. I just appreciate it. It's not, it's not I need, how do I say it? I need to resonate in an environment with those who are not projecting themselves in a way that is just damaging. I appreciate the projection of, if you're projecting yourself onto me, so projecting isn't always bad, by the way. If you're projecting yourself onto me and in a loving way, I'm all for that. And I'm talking about for me personally, because I noticed with me in my crash out history, my history of crashing out and hitting the live button, like, let me talk to you guys. It's because my feelings are hurt. To put it plainly. I'm from the toughest environment, but to be honest, how do I say this? For me in this stage of myself and the way I am, I appreciate, I respond, but I'm like a plant. The plant where in the water where you say the nasty things, and I'm going to form into this crazy man-eating little shop of horrors plant. Or if you could say things that are kind and encouraging. I'm not asking to be pandered to, but just things that are not just nasty. I'm really good um at my growth is better. I'm in a better space. I mean, I guess everybody is, but there was a time that not was a time there not was a time there is now with me from all the slander and hate stuff and a lot of very very damaged people who don't want to tune into themselves, as far as like they just want to repeat things or something's going on. They've attacked me, and then I will go into like crashing out without really processing it first. So I found out I'm healing and I need to focus on the love and respect, because I'm good at being a mirror. So I don't want to keep on feeding back things that don't promote life. I want to be a good creator, God. I'm super good at being a mirror. I don't want to be a mirror to hatred and malevolent destruction. So I want to say thank you. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Look at this. Keon is here. Peace to you, Keon. I hope you have a great day. Nepal, you were justified in your crash outs. I know, right? But you know what? That justification and righteousness just takes me to, gosh, I could go on and on. How far do I go? Yes, I was right to do that, right? But that still leaves me stuck on a level as not that God that I want to be, because I want to be. Oh wow, I love the teachings. Look, because you're all familiar with it more than you are the Bhagavad Gita. I love the teachings of Christ. Let me get that again. Nepal, you were always justified in your crash outs. You never started it. And you're absolutely right, Caleb. I never came to the internet. That's not even why. Look at what we're talking. I like to talk about this kind of stuff. I want to talk about so-and-so. Why? It's just, you're right. But look at this. Me being the mirror and responding and crashing out to anybody, not just the internet, anyone. I've only gotten just that basic reward. I haven't gotten my full reward with the universal mind of God, because the universal mind of God wouldn't crash out. The universal mind of God would just take action and just, if I'm a gardener and I walk out into my garden and I see that gophers were in there, I don't fall down and say, I hate you gophers, and start like throwing a tantrum and tearing up the ground, and these gophers were in here, you gophers did me wrong, I really wanted to eat that lettuce. I can't do that. That's like, what in the heck? Okay, yeah, I know, but why don't you just do something about it? That would be someone who's in control, aka a God. So yes, I was right. I was justified in it, but let me show you what also. And then you might say, well, how do you do that? How do you control that? Well, Jesus says, this is where oh my God, stop it. Oh, it's so late. Can't believe this. Okay. Jesus says in Matthew 5, I'm going to use this scripture. Excuse me. And then I'm going to use another scripture. Where is it at? Stay with me. I'm going to use this one. It says, but I say unto you that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. So give the other cheek. This, okay, so me fighting back when they're sitting and talking about me, or if somebody's done me wrong, me giving that energy back doesn't make me, I don't get to level up. I stay on their level. We're just standing there like on the slapping contest. You slap me, boom, I slap you, looking like two dummies. You slap me, I slap you. You slap me, I want to be the one who, when you slap me, I go, God dang it, that hurt, and I walk away. I get away from you. Hold that thought. I get away from you because I want to promote life and protect life. Okay, watch this. I'm going to get it for you right now. All right, so Matthew 7, verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine. Why? Or else they will trample your pearls under their feet and turn again and tear you to pieces. Okay? That's why these scriptures are cold cut when it comes to when the teachings of Jesus, the gospel. There's not one bit of gospel that's ever been negative or ever done anything besides bring life, protect life, and give us help us to see clearly in the dark, because we go deep. Because Christ has very, very deep sayings and dark sayings, and so when I'm being attacked often, or if I'm embarrassed or humiliated and it's wrong on the internet, me giving that slap back is I locked myself onto that level with the person who's attacking me. I want to take that slap, don't return anything. That's what it means by offer the other cheek. Don't return anything. And then I want to remove my pearls from those swine because I don't want them to tear me to pieces. I want to keep getting slapped. I got to protect, remember? Now I've leveled up. And guess what happened? When I ignored these particular malevolent gods in this material realm, when I don't fight back and mirror them, which I have to work because I'm that's my thing. I mirror. When I don't mirror them and I go and protect myself and just keep on talking to people like Caleb and Naphtali and Keon, Ben Frank, and so on and so. When I do that, I'm leveling up. I'm back. I'm getting back on my journey to spiral up out of here. You know, they all marveled as Jesus went up into the sky. Get it? So, yeah, that's what I say. Let me see. Okay. Caleb says, you overcame so much hate and oppression, cleaned the pot, and came out on the other side even more wise. You deserve praise and honor. Thank you. And I offer you back humble thanks. And I actually find your comments to be very encouraging. And so I honor you and your wife. I know you guys kind of alternate. I don't know. She needs to get her own account, though, so I can see the difference between who is who. I can't lie, Queen. I have to stop as well because me and my wife, whenever we see other channels or people comment on you, we crash out on them hard. It's wrong, but it's hard not to. It's not crash out. Now, y'all got to give me some help over here. We're going to help each other. Like, hold me back. Don't let me crash out. If I'm going to crash out, I'm going to do some meditating. I've done pretty well so far. I'm not going to respond to it in 2025. And even when I say I'm not going to respond, I might do a little funny, short, like that one I said, I'm living my best life. That one, like not going back and forth, I'm not going back and forth. But for the most part, I'm good. I'm only good because I'm resonating from the universal mind of God. I'm resonating with the rest of my creator God, material creator God family. So we're going to do it together. That's my point. Yes, that'll be good. She'll make her own channel. All right. Peace to the darkest minds of the light. Peace, 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 peace. Have a good day. Gosh, 3 hours. Much love. Hopefully this resonates with someone. Oh, you know what? Before I end this, I want to play because I'm talking about the spirit realm. I I have some friends who've passed away. This is in honor of my friend Fanatic. He is on this song. He produced it, and he's was part of Blueprint Records, and Fanatic, Natty Boy, and I'm sorry to the other brother who's on here. And also in honor of my friend Esoteric, I'm going to play this song. Now, this song doesn't have anything to do really with the spirit realm, the lyrics. It's talking about a hookup, but my friend transitioned, and I know he's still with me, and I love you so much, Fanatic. I love you so much, Esoteric. Please go subscribe to Esoteric Thoughts, by the way. And I want to leave with this song right here. My friend Esoteric, Fanatic. And this is interesting that my friend Esoteric and my friend Fanatic both passed away in the same year. One was named Fanatic. And one was named Esoteric. Interesting, right? Peace to them. This is Fanatic.
I'll take my time on you. Screaming. I got you screaming. I got you screaming. I got you screaming.
Shorty, tell me what you need, tell me what you need. Shorty, meet me at the room, yeah. Number 2410. Baby, come by when you're ready. Leave the door unlocked for the ice and the Henny. Number 2410. Shorty, meet me at the room, yeah. Number 2410. Baby, come by when you're ready. Leave the door unlocked for the ice and the Henny. Number 2410.
Can't wait till the morning. But I promise I won't rush on you. Can't wait till the morning. But I swear I'll take my time on you. I got you screaming. I got you screaming. I got you screaming. I got you screaming.
You know I hate to wait. I need you right now. Tryna see how much that she can take. I'ma have her screaming loud, so loud. Face down, ass up. Promise you won't fall in love. Cause we both know entanglements get dangerous.
She wanna know how I feel, she wanna fuck with a real one. I put something in your tummy, now you all in your feelings. I put you in Gucci, you gave me that cookie. Put you in Prada, girl, I ain't no rookie. I see you looking from a mile away, from a mile away. Life's too real, we don't waste time. Keep it all day back, all in my bag, I'm all in my bag.
Number 2410.
ready. Leave the door unlocked for the ice and the Henny. Number 2410. Shorty meet me at the room. Yeah. Number 2410. Baby, come by when you ready. Leave the door unlocked for the ice and the Henny. Number 2410.
Can't wait till the morning. I promise I won't rush on you. Can't wait till the morning. I swear I'll take my time on you. I got you scared. I got you scared. I got you scared. I got you scared.
When you come around, I want this for real, so don't let me down. This is nothing basic, so I hope you're ready. Still when you chase me, I'ma let you catch me. No, I won't fight, no objections from me this time. The mood is right, do whatever to me that you like. No downtones, no danger zones, just alone with you. A wet dream with ice cream, a movie scene with you. I'm ready, a movie scene with you.
Sure you meet me at the room. Number 2410. Come by when you're ready. Leave the door unlocked for the ice and the Henny.